welcome to the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people who work backstage in the technical theatre industry about how they got in, their experiences, and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 8 of season 2. A big thank you to everyone who's downloaded the show, everyone who's listening to the show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know who's interested in theatre and those who aren't interested in theatre, because it might make them interested in theatre. Yes, thank you so much for all the downloads. It's been really good so far, so really enjoying it. And without further ado, let's get on to our next guest. I'm here with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is in the industry.
My name is Geoff Horsefield, and I'm a theatrical polymath.
Excellent. Could you explain what a theatrical polymath is?
It means I haven't got a clue what I'm doing at any given moment.
Oh, right, okay. So you are, I believe, a freelancer?
I'm a freelancer. Most of my work at the moment, freelance, is carpentry, performer flying, but I'm still doing a bit of automation, which was my main bread and butter for about 15 years.
Excellent. And how did you get into theatre, Geoff?
So, I was a stagey little thing. So I was a performer.
Weren't we all?
And I did a show. I did a national tour of The Sound of Music when I was 11. And it was the first time I ever encountered automation, proper kind of big moving things, and it blew my tiny little mind. And I loved it. And it was like from that point on, the theatre that I worked in the most, whenever I was kind of waiting to go on stage or whatever, I'd be having a good look what the sound guys were doing, what the lighting guys were doing, and found that actually it was just an awful lot more interesting than what I was doing. So I crossed to the dark side.
Or the light side, depending on which way you look at it, I guess.
Right.
Did you train at all?
I did train. I went to the Guildhall School of Music and Drama.
Oh, excellent.
I did, yes. Because I had, which I think a million people have had as well, and a lot of people you've spoken to, this thing of, the careers advisor comes into school,
yep,
and you have to sit down and they say, what are you going to do with your life? And you say, well, I want to go and work backstage in a theatre. I don't quite know what, but I want to work backstage. And they turn around and they go, no, it's not for you. So there was a lot of that.
Especially in the north.
Especially in the north, Yes.
Yeah.
It's.
I told him I wanted to be a rock star, and I was told I wasn't allowed to be a rock star.
Did that not work out for you?
No, it didn't.
Oh, mate.
That's why I'm doing this.
So it was. I did a lot of research myself. I applied to Guildhall. I somehow got in. I'm not quite sure how.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I made them laugh. I think that's all I did. Yeah, and so I did that, and it was great. Back then, it was very much multidisciplined. You spent a lot of time learning about every aspect of technical theatre. And the best thing about it was your last day there, they sat you down, told you that you were worthless, you didn't know anything, not to presume that you knew anything, and now to go out and actually learn what you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore.
I've got a funny suspicion they don't.
What was your first job in theatre, backstage?
So my first backstage job was, I was events/stage technician at the Barbican Centre, not for the theatre, but every other performing space that there was in that venue.
Oh, excellent. How'd you manage to wangle that one?
I mean, well, I still remember leaving Guildhall on my last day being like, woohoo, I never have to come to the Barbican ever again. And then 2 weeks later, walking down to the depths of concrete going, oh. But, it was actually, I saw it advertised, I applied for it, though I didn't know anyone, I didn't have any contacts or anything of that ilk. So I was there for about a year, and it was pretty tough going, but survived.
Well, there you go, we learnt a lot.
I did learn a lot.
Excellent.
I learned a lot on how not to do things.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
Well, that's always good.
It is.
You've got to learn something from everything. So give us a list of any other jobs you've had.
So, and from there I went to be Deputy Head of Stage at the Watford Palace Theatre, which was actually great because they'd been closed for 4 years to have a massive refurb. So I walked in and it was a literal black box. It didn't even have its flying system in. So that was a really great learning experience, and it was brilliant just building a theatre, putting a theatre back together. And I was there for a little while, and then I took a step down deliberately to be first stage technician for the RSC for one of their London seasons, just to kind of get a job in London, to be honest.
London.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what did I do after that? That's a very good question. Oh, after that, I think, yes, I was stage management. I was stage manager on part of the Brecht Fest at the Young Vic. And then, obviously, I was a sound operator on The Woman in Black for a year. Obviously. And from there, I went to Drowsy Chaperone, and I was tech ASM, and that was the first time I actually got my hands on an automation desk. Which was very exciting. But they sort of screwed it up a bit when they tendered for it. So it was actually 5 separate automation desks and 1 operator. It was very exciting.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Again, learnt an awful lot very quickly.
Yes. Well, that's always good as well. And then after Drowsy...
After Drowsy, I was tech ASM on Spamalot. And then from Spamalot to Billy Elliot. And then Billy Elliot, I became automation number 2 on Hairspray, and then automation number 1 on Priscilla. And I've sort of been a number 1 ever since that point. From Priscilla, I did European Tour Blue Man Group. Danced around a bit on Love Never Dies. That was fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was good. What did I do after that? I did lots of things. Oh, I worked for Cirque du Soleil. I suppose that's sort of a big one.
Oh, yeah.
I went and set up a show for them.
Matilda.
I did do Matilda when I came back. And then a little show called Book of Mormon. Yes. And then an even smaller show called Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
And then I'd had enough of doing shows, so I just strolled off into the sunset.
So you've done 1 or 2 bits. That's good.
I've done a few.
What would you say is your favourite job? Anything that you work with me on?
Obviously, babes. I don't know, actually. Do you know, maybe Spamalot?
Oh, right, okay.
I was young, and
needed
everything was... and I needed the money. Yeah, it was a really brilliant group of people. And actually, Drowsy and Spamalot, they ran into each other, and, you know, everyone backstage, everyone on stage, we kind of mixed all the time. We were out together all the time. There was genuine camaraderie between everyone, and they were both fun shows. Yeah. And I think that makes a difference, you know, it's the subject matter. It's like Mormon, you know, I was here for an awfully long time. It was a good group of people, and it's a fun show.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to make people laugh. Okay, so being a northerner, as you are, have you ever come across any issues within the industry? People holding you back for any reason? People, obviously not just for being northern, but people holding you back, or people, you know, you're not being able to get jobs for any reasons, anything like that?
I don't think so. I think only because I'm terrible at what I do. But other than that, you know, and, you know, people like to take the piss because I'm northern. Yeah, so, you know, it's kind of open season. It's fair game. But no, I've never really seen that happen in the industry, to be honest. I'm sure it does, and it must. But in my personal experience, most people are fairly pleasant.
Good. What would you say are the pros and cons of working in this industry?
Cons... I guess I'm sure everyone has said, like, hours.
Yeah. It's very much a common thing.
And a holiday. You know, that's the other thing, especially if you're an HOD, like actually just trying to take a holiday, because you're essentially booking your own cover. You've got to put all that in place. You've got to make sure that they're fully trained. It's not as simple as just going to your line manager and going, can I have a day off or can I have a week off? You know, so it's that can be problematic. But pros, it's just fun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
It's really silly what we do. It really, like, you know, we play around with some big toys just to make a bunch of middle-class people applaud and go, isn't that lovely? And that's quite daft, really.
Oh, it's true. It's true. You make... Basically, what we do is we facilitate the idea that the people who are prancing around on stage are other people that are prancing around on a stage or prancing around in the real world for some people who have paid to watch this. So, yeah, it's a weird...
But it's nice, you know, and, you know, not wishing to get too deep about it, but we do hopefully offer some light relief and a bit of enjoyment.
Oh, well, we do escapism, which
we
is always
do very well. I mean,
people need a lot these days.
They do. It was that crazy thing. I remember the big banking crisis when that happened a few years back. Yeah. And, you know, there was genuine concern that box office revenue, especially in the West End, would nosedive. It actually rose. It climbed because actually people were saving up for those moments to look forward to.
Oh, people need it.
Yeah.
What would you say is a common misconception from anybody trying to get into the industry? So somebody who's trying to get in the industry and they think it's one way when it's actually a different way.
One that still persists a lot is that it's who you know, not what you know.
That's interesting.
And I disagree with that.
Okay.
I didn't know anyone. I didn't, and I found a route. I found a path. You've got to put yourself out there. Yeah. You've got to be willing to learn. You've got to show that you have the right attitude. I sort of think it's that simple. Obviously, it must happen. I'm sure, nepotism is strong. But it's not about who you know. It can go that way later in your career. Yeah. Obviously, it helps if you've forged connections with people.
Well, certainly getting in is probably not about who you know.
No, not at all. I don't think it is.
What would you... do you have any advice to people trying to get in the industry?
Be honest, be open, be willing to work and willing to learn. Accept everything. And even if you hate it, you can learn from that experience as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of that simple. A big thing that people don't seem to do so much anymore, I could be wrong, but get a CV with a good cover letter about why you want to work in whichever capacity it is. Take it to a stage door. Find out the name of the person that you want to give the CV to. It's really important. Just show a little bit of initiative instead of it just to the master carpenter or to the stage manager. Find out their name, and then you've opened the door for them to hopefully come back and go, well, we might need a dep, or if nothing else, come in, do a little bit of work experience, just kind of have a look around and nose around, see what's going on.
And always accept the work.
Always accept the work. And some of it will be awful.
Oh, yeah.
Like god-awful.
Not all of it's good.
No, it really isn't.
It will always lead to something better.
It will. It absolutely will.
Excellent. Right, that's everything I've got, so thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much. A pleasure as always.
Thank you. Big thank you to Geoff for that one. I enjoyed that one. Interesting to hear different people's trajectories in the industry and knowing that even if you don't have a show or you're not on a show at that particular point, there is still work out there, be it dep work or freelance work. So you should never panic about that. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for downloading it. It's been really great, really loving it so far, and long may it continue. Thank you to all the guests that have been on, and I shall see you all next week.